Although Vita Health Group provided this exercise class provisional with your health and safety in mind, each individual participant has their own limitations and should consult their general practitioner or an appropriate medical professional prior to undertaking the class. Should you be prone to injury, are currently pregnant, or be managing any functional limiting medical conditions, please seek medical confirmation prior to participating. At all times, ensure you follow all instructions provided by Vita Health Groups throughout the entirety of the recording. Should you experience any symptoms of dizziness, nausea, or increased pain at any point during your participation, please stop and seek the appropriate advice from your general practitioner or the 111 service.
Hello and welcome to today's class. My name's Danny and I will be your instructor for today. This class is our advanced lower back class, so it's aimed at people who are suffering with lower back pain but also have a good amount of experience of exercise to an advanced level. We're going to be targeting all of the major muscle groups in and around the lower back, and the aims of this session are to improve strength, coordination, and some flexibility and mobility work in there as well. All of the equipment that you need will be shown on the screen. So all you need to do is grab a drink and let's get started with our warm-up. Let's get started with our warm-up then. So with this warm-up, we're aiming to increase our heart rate, activate the muscles, increase mobility, all ready for our exercise class that's coming up. So we're going to start off nice and simple with just some marching on the spot. We're going to be doing this for 1 minute. Do it at your own pace, whether you want to go nice and slow or quite fast, completely up to you. Fab, let's get going for 1 minute then. Make sure we're swinging those arms, lifting the feet nice and high whilst we're marching. Remember, we're working to increase that heart rate, so just taking it at your own pace. That's great, keep swinging those arms, lifting those knees nice and high, and we are nearly halfway there. Great. Again, taking it at your own pace, just as we start the warm-up. Okay, 10 more seconds. Great, and bring that down to a stop. Brilliant. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're just going to do some jogging on the spot this time. We're only going to go for 30 seconds this time. Again, doing it at your own pace. Just make sure that you've got a nice, safe environment around you. Okay, when we're ready, off we go. Again, make sure we're moving those arms and lifting those feet nice and high off the floor. That's it, halfway there. Good, 5 seconds left. And bring it down to a stop. Brilliant. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to do some hip circles. So for this one, I want your feet sort of shoulder width apart on the floor and the hands just resting on your hips. We're going to start off with very small circles. So we're going to sort of push the hips to one side, bring them round to the front and round to the back. Again, just do them at your own pace, and also with the circle, just make it as small or as big as you can, depending on how you're feeling. We're going to go for 30 seconds. When we're ready, off we go. That's it. So just make sure we're concentrating on really pushing those hips all the way around the movement. That's good. Because we're coming up to halfway, we're going to switch and go in the opposite direction. Again, like I said, if you need to do small circles with how you're feeling at the moment, that's absolutely fine. Or nice and big circles, doesn't matter. Great, and come to a stop. Okay, for the next exercise, we're going to go into doing some leg swings. For this one, I'm going to do it just freestanding, but if you need to, you can hold onto a wall, hold onto the back of a chair, whichever works best for you. We're going to start off with our right leg. So again, like I said, holding onto something for stability if needs be. We're going to go for 30 seconds. We're just going to lift the leg out in front of us and then slowly lift behind. Okay, off we go. So just swinging that leg at your own pace. Like I said, if you need to hold on to something, then that's absolutely fine. Good. That's great. Keeping the knee nice and straight. And just swinging back and forwards. That's it. We've got 5 seconds left on this leg. And then we'll switch over. Great. Okay. So if you need to swing the chair around to the other side or reposition yourself so that you can hold onto the wall the opposite way, that's fine. And then we'll go for 30 seconds again. So on the left leg this time, swinging back and forth. That's great. Again, just doing it at your own pace, lifting the leg in a range of movement that's comfortable for you. Good. Okay, 10 seconds left on this leg. Great, and come to a stop, just back into our resting position. So the next activity that we're going to do is going to be with our arms. We're going to go for some arm circles. So what we'll do, we'll start off with our right arm because we started with our right leg. We'll pop our hand out to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with some circles, just going backwards like this. If you need to do the circles nice and small, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, if you can, then we're going to do nice big circles with the arm. Again, just do whatever feels comfortable for you at the moment. And again, we're going to go for 30 seconds. That's it. Like I said, make sure we're doing this one in a comfortable range of movement. It can be as small or as big as you need at the moment. That's great. We've done 15 seconds on this arm. That's great. Last 5 seconds. Brilliant, okay. And this time we're going to do the exact same on the left arm. So again, arm out to the side. You can do small circles if you need to. Obviously big ones if you can as well. Fab, off we go, 30 seconds on this one. That's great. Again, just going at the speed that sort of works for you at the moment. If you need to move nice and slowly through this movement, that's fine. Obviously if you can, then obviously we'll go a bit quicker. That's great, and just 5 more seconds. Perfect, okay. Last exercise of our warm-up, we're going to do some movements with our spine. So we're going to work in 4 different directions. We're going to go for a forward movement, a backwards movement, and then side to side as well. So what I'll do first is I'll show you what we're going to do, and then I'll explain how many we're going to do after that. So we're going to have the feet shoulder width apart again. For the forwards movement, I'd like you to have your hands resting on the front of your legs. And then what I want you to do nice and slowly is just come down as far as you can until you start to feel that bit of a stretch in the lower back, and then return up to your neutral position. Then we'll go for the opposite. So this time I'll turn to the side to show you, you're gonna lean backwards. Again, just a gentle movement, and back up to the neutral position. Then hands down by our sides. Doesn't matter which side you do first, but you're going to bend over to the side, back up, and over to the other side. We're going to do 5 in each direction. Again, just going as far as you can. Okay, we'll do them all together. So if we start at the front, we're going to come down, just go as far as you can, and then back up to that neutral position. Then we're going to lean back, again to the neutral position, hands down by our sides. Drop one hand down the side of the leg, back up, and then over to the side. So that's 1 repetition. So now we'll go for our second. So again, we're going to come back down the front, nice and slowly and controlled. And then this time lean backwards. That's great. And then down to one side. back up and over into the other direction. Brilliant, onto number 3, so back to the front, coming down as far as you can, and back up, and then leaning back, and back into that neutral position. Hands down by our sides, and we'll go over to one side, and back up, then over to the other side, and back up. And now for number 4, back to the front, leaning forwards, and back up. Hands on our hips, and we'll lean backwards, back to our neutral position, and down to one side, and back over to the other direction. Brilliant, last one now, hands back on the front. We're going to lean down as far as we can, back up to the middle, hands on our hips, and lean back to the middle, and then this time we'll drop down one side, back up, and then down to the other side. Okay, that completes our warm-up. So if you want to go and grab a bottle of water ready for our exercise class, and we'll get started. Okay, so this exercise is called flutter kicks. We're going to be down on the floor for this one, lying on our back. So make sure you take your time getting down to the floor. If you need to pause the video, then make sure you do so. As I said, we're going to be lying on our backs for this one. We're going to be doing 3 sets of this exercise. We're going to try and do 20 repetitions on each leg for the first set that we do. They're quite quick movements, so you'll understand why the repetitions are so high on this one. We're going to lie on our backs. The hands are going to come underneath the tailbone, sort of flat on the floor. From here, you're going to keep your head on the floor. You're going to straighten the legs out so that they're sort of just off the floor, and we're going to go up and down with the legs nice and fast as if you're swimming, okay? So we're going to go for 20 repetitions on each side. Do it at your own pace, but as quickly as you can. Okay, right, off we go then. Breathe in nice and slowly through this one. That's great, keep squeezing that core. And once you get to 20 on each leg, just bring the legs back in and come up into a seated position. Okay, that's the first set complete. We're going to have 20 seconds, then come back and we'll get started on set 2. Okay, let's get started then with set 2. We're doing exactly the same movement. So we're lying down on our backs, popping our hands underneath the tailbone, head on the floor, feet out, engage that core, and then off we go for 20 on each leg. Keep breathing nice and slowly, keep that core engaged. Should be feeling it in the lower abdomen. And once you get up to 20 on each leg, we're just going to come back into that relaxed position. Okay? And again, if you need a quick drink, then make sure to grab one as we take a 20-second break, and then we'll come back for the final set. Okay, so on to our final set of this exercise. For this one, we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to go until failure. So what that means is that you're going to keep going, even if we get to 20 repetitions on each leg. If you find that at that point you feel like you could do more, you're going to continue on until you feel like your muscles can't do any more of the exercise. If you find that you're going over 20, which is when I'm going to stop, just pause the video and carry on until you get to your failure point, and then rejoin in once you're ready. Okay, so back onto the mats, hands underneath the tailbone, engage that core and slowly lift the legs out, and off we go. So we aim for 20 on each leg. If you get to 20 and you feel like that's easy, then you're going to continue on until you get to your failure point. If you get to 20 and you feel like that's enough for you at the moment, then you'll just come back into the relaxed position, and then once you're ready, take your time to come up into a standing position. Okay, so that's the end of that exercise. We're going to have a 20-second break. Grab yourself a drink of water and then we'll come back for the next one. Okay, so for this exercise, we're going to be doing a spinal rotation whilst lying in what we call supine, so on our back on the floor, with our knees up at a 90-degree angle. So we're going to be lying on our back again on the mat, so nice and slowly get yourself onto the floor. If you need to pause the video, make sure to do so. With this, we're going to be lying on our backs. You can either have the arms out to the side or down by your side, it doesn't matter whichever you find easier. You're going to have the knees up, so we've got the hips at a 90-degree angle and the knees at a 90-degree angle. And then you're going to keep the shoulders and the head on the floor. You're going to rotate over to the side as far as you can. And then you're going to bring yourself, you squeeze the core muscles, bring yourself back up to the center, and then go over to the other side and back up. Once we've been to both sides, that's one repetition. We're going to do 6 in total. So we'll go to each side 6 times, and then we'll have a quick rest, and then we'll go again. Okay? So, up into that position. Make sure we're going at our own pace and going as far as you can. And once we've been to both sides, that's our first repetition. Breathing nice and slowly through this movement. Like I said, just go as far as you can. Keeping that core engaged the whole time. If you feel that core switch off, just come back to the neutral position and we'll start again. Okay, one more on each side. That's great. Okay, so we're going to have a 20-second break before we go into our second set. So if you need a drink or anything like that, make sure to grab one, and then we'll come back for the second set. Okay, and then for our second set, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So coming onto our backs. Remember, you can have the hands out to the side or down by your side, whichever works best for you. Engage the core and bring those legs up into the 90-degree angle. And then when you're ready, off we go. Going as far as you can, keeping that core engaged the whole time. Like I said earlier, if you feel it switch off, just come back to the neutral position and start that repetition again. Okay, so we want 6 each side. Okay, 2 more. That's it, breathe in nice and slowly. That's great. Okay, once you've finished, come down into that relaxed position, and then we're going to take another 20-second break, and then we'll come back for our final set. Okay, so into our third and final set. With this one, we're gonna again do something slightly different, where we're gonna do this exercise until failure. So if you find that you get to 6 repetitions on each side and you feel like you could do more, then just continue, pause the video, continue to where you feel your failure point is, where the muscles feel like they can't do any more, and then join back in once you've finished. So back onto our backs. Okay, remember arms can be down by the side or out, whichever you find more comfortable. Engage the core and bring the legs up into the 90-degree position. And off we go. Drop to the side, nice and controlled. We shouldn't just be swinging the legs from side to side. It's a nice controlled movement that's all coming from your core muscles. That's it, nice and slow. Okay, 2 more on either side if you're going just to 6. Okay, as we come into the last one, I'll just explain again. If you feel like this is too easy at 6, just keep continuing on until you get to your failure point and then join back in with the video. If not, we're going to return at our own pace up into a standing position. And then that is the end of this exercise. So go and grab yourself a drink of water, and then we'll come back for the next one. Okay, so this exercise is called a supine leg raise with the legs in what we call hip abduction. So all that means is we're going to be lying down on our backs on the floor, doing some leg raises, but our legs aren't going to be in a straight down position. They're going to be in what we call hip abduction, which is when we've got the legs out to the side, okay? I'll show you standing up like this, but we're going to be lying on our backs, just in case you can't see when I'm on the floor. So take your time to get down to the floor. If you need to pause the video or anything like that whilst you get there, then make sure you do. We're going to lie on our backs. Now with the hands, you can have them either down by your side, out to the side, or if you find it a little bit easier, you can put the hands under the tailbone as we do this one, but make sure that we're still engaging those core muscles even with the hands under there. Okay, so the legs are going to go out straight, and like I said before, they're going to come slightly out to the side. We're going to do 8 repetitions. We're going to do 3 sets. We might change up the repetitions on the 3rd set, but we'll see how we go. So off we go then with 8. So we're going to lift just to 45 degrees and back down, nice and gentle. We shouldn't be hearing a big thud when we put the feet down. Making sure we're engaging those core muscles. That's 4, so we're halfway there. If you need to go slower, that's absolutely fine. If you can't lift the legs as high, that's also fine, just go as far as you can. Okay, and we'll do 2 more. Using those core muscles to get those legs up. That's great. Once we've got to 8, we're just going to return to a seated position. If you do need to go and have a drink of water or anything like that, then make sure to do so, and we'll come back in 20 seconds for our 2nd set. Okay, let's get started then with our second set. So we're going to come into the same position we were in. So onto our backs. Again, like we said before, arm position, you can have them down to the side, out to the side, or under the tailbone if you find that easier. And then we're going to have the feet out in our abducted position. So feet nice and wide, wider than your shoulders. And then we're going to switch those core muscles on and we're going to go for 8 more repetitions. So we lift to 45 and back down. That's good. Okay, we're about halfway there now. If you need to go a bit slower, that's absolutely fine. Okay, let's do 2 more. And once we've got to 8, we're going to come back into that relaxed position and we're going to take another 20 seconds. If you need a drink, make sure you get one, and then we will come back for our final set. Okay, let's get started then on our final set. As I mentioned before, we might do slightly different repetitions on this one. So instead of doing 8 repetitions like we had before, we're going to go until you feel like you can't do any more, so what we call until failure. So if you get to 8, that's great, and you can stop at 8, but if you get to 8 and you feel that you can do more, then just pause the video and continue on, and then just join back in once you have finished. Okay, so let's lie back. Remember, hands can be wherever's most comfortable. Feet apart. Most important bit is engaging those core muscles. And off we go. Lift and down. Make sure we're breathing nice and slow throughout. That's it. Really engage those core muscles. Okay, and remember on this one, we're going until you feel like you can't do any more. So we're at 8 now. If you feel like you can do more, then keep going. If not, then just take 20 seconds. We're going to get a quick drink of water. And then what we'll do is we will come back and go into our next exercise. Okay, so this exercise is going to be the child's pose. So we're going to use this one as a bit more of a stretch. So we're going to be holding this position for 30 seconds, 3 times through. We're going to be down on the mat again, so take your time to get down there. We're going to start on our knees with the feet sort of tucked underneath, so the top of the feet is towards the mat. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pop into our sort of 4-point kneeling position. And from here, you're going to drop the heels down, bring the hands forward, and bring the head through the hole in between your arms. You should feel a nice long stretch down the back for this one, okay? And we're going to go, like I said, for 30 seconds, 3 times through, okay? Fab. So from here, drop down into that child's pose, tuck the head in, and then we're going to stay here off for 30 seconds. Off we go. Making sure you're doing nice slow breaths in and out with this one. And also just coming back down as far as you can. If you can't get all the way down to your heels, don't worry. Just go as far as you can. And with your arms, really try and stretch them out as far forward as you can. So we're getting a nice stretch all the way up the back. That's great. And then from here, you're just going to come back up into our 4-point kneeling position and then walk back into a relaxed position. Okay, because this one's just a stretch, we're going to take a few seconds between each one. But if you do need longer, then just make sure to pause the video and then just Join back in when you are ready. Okay, but if not, then we're going to go again into our 4-point kneeling position. And then we're just going to drop down, just going as far as you can, and then tucking that head down into the position. Remember, we're stretching our arms out as far in front as we can as well, so that they're getting a nice stretch all the way up the back. Nice slow breathing. That's it. Okay, and then returning back up into our 4-point kneeling and coming back into a relaxed position. Okay, so we've got one more left to do, and just like before, if you do need a bit more time in between these exercises, just pause the video and come back on when you are ready. But if not, then we'll go for a final time. So we're going to go into our 4-point kneeling and then slowly lower ourselves back down. Once we're in that position, we'll get going with our 30 seconds. So tuck that head in, stretch those arms out, feel that nice stretch of the back. And nice steady breathing. That's great. 10 more seconds. Okay, back up to our 4-point kneeling, and then take your time to return up to a standing position. That's the end of that exercise. So we're now going to have a 20-second break. If you need a quick drink of water, make sure you grab one, and then we'll come back for the next one. Okay, so this exercise that we're doing now is a plank with some extra hip extension. So we're going to be down on the floor in our plank position. So make sure you take your time getting to the floor. If you need to pause the video whilst you get there, then make sure that you do. When we're in our plank position, all that's going to be touching the floor is going to be our feet, our elbows, our forearms, and our hands. Everything else is going to be lifted off the floor and in a nice straight line. From there, we're going to add in some extra movement from the hips. So I'll just show you before we start. So we're going to go into our plank position, so forearms on the floor, up on our feet. From here, whilst we keep the rest of the body still, we're just going to lift one leg and back down. Okay, we're going to extend the hip by squeezing our glute muscles up and down. Once we have done that on each leg, that will be 1 repetition. We're going to go for 8 repetitions. So it'll be 8 on each leg. Then we'll have a break and we will come back for another set. Okay? So when you're ready, into your plank position. So onto your elbows and lift up onto your feet and off we go. So squeezing the glute muscles as we lift up, trying to keep the rest of the body in line. Squeezing those core muscles as well at the same time. Okay, that's 4 on each now. So we're halfway. Okay, last one. And then relax. Okay, so we'll take a quick 20-second break and then we will come back for our second set. Okay, let's get started then with our second set. So we're going to do exactly the same thing in that plank position, keeping the core engaged whilst we squeeze our glute muscles to lift one leg at a time. And we're going for 8 repetitions again on each leg. So when you're ready, into your plank position. And from here, we're going to lift and lower the legs, nice and controlled, one at a time. Squeeze in the core muscles as we do it. Okay, that's 4. Make sure we're breathing in and out, not holding our breath. Okay, 1 more on each leg. And relax. Okay, so we're going to take 20 seconds then, just before we go into our final set of this exercise. Okay, let's get into our third set then of these planks with hip extension. With this one, we are going to aim for 8 on each leg again. However, if we get to 8 and you feel like you can do more, then please carry on until you feel like you can't do any more, what we call until failure. So when we get to 8, I'll let you know. And if you want to carry on, then feel free, just pause the video and then join back in when you're ready. So into our plank position. And off we go. Lift and lower, keeping that core engaged and squeezing those glute muscles as we work through the movement. Okay, that's 4. Okay, this is our 8th one. So if you feel like you can continue, then please do. If not, then just relax and take your time getting back up into a standing position. So that is the end of this exercise. Make sure you grab a drink if you need one, and we'll be back in 20 seconds for the next exercise. Okay, in this exercise, we're going to be doing mountain climbers. So we're going to be on the floor for this exercise. So make your way down to the mat in your own time. We're going to start in a press-up position. So we're going to have just our hands and our toes on the floor. I am going to drop my feet off the edge of the mat just because I want sort of a bit of a grippier surface for this one. So we're going to go into our press-up position, like so. And from here, trying to keep the body nice and flat, we're going to bring the knee in and then we're going to switch over and over, like so. The quicker you do this exercise, the harder it is, because we're obviously trying to maintain a nice steady body. So the faster we're moving our legs, the more difficult it is. So make sure you find the pace that works for you. We're going to do 3 sets. In the first 2 sets, we're going to do 12 repetitions on each leg. And then in the final set, we will work to failure. So going as much as you can until you feel like the muscles can't do anymore. Okay, so when you're ready, into that press-up position, keeping the body nice and flat, and off we go. We're going to go for 12 on each leg. Keeping a nice steady breath. Great. Once you get to 12, just relax there for me. We're going to take 20 seconds rest. If you need a drink, make sure you get one, and then we'll come back for our second set. Okay, and onto our second set. So back into that press up position. That's it. Get yourself nice and steady before we start. And then we're going for 12 on each leg again. So at your own pace, off we go. Great. And when you get to 12, just make sure you relax. And then we're going to take another 20 seconds, get a drink if you need one, and we'll come back for the third set. Okay, and into our final set of the mountain climbers. So like I said earlier, for this one, we're going to go until failure. So keep going with this set until you feel like you can't do any more, or until you feel like you're not performing them with the right form. So, you know, you might see that your hips are coming up, or you might be lowering down. That means we're not using the right form anymore. So at that point you would stop. Okay, so back into our press up position. And when you're ready, at your own pace, we're going to go until failure. Nice and steady breath. And once you get to the point where you can't do any more, if you can do more than me, then pause the video and carry on. Or if you're at a point where you feel like you can't do any more, then you're just going to slowly return to your standing position. That's the end of this exercise. We'll have 20 seconds rest, grab yourself a drink, and then we'll be back for the next one. Okay, so this exercise is called the Cobra. This is one of our stretches, so we're going to be holding this position for 30 seconds. We're going to do it 3 times through. We're going to be down on the mat for this one, so take your time getting down to the floor. We're going to be lying on our front. So onto the floor, on our front. The hands are going to come underneath the shoulders, like so, with the elbows tucked in to our sides. What we're going to do from here, keeping the legs still on the floor, you're just going to try and extend the elbows and push yourself up. Just go as far as you can. If you can only come up onto your elbows, that's absolutely fine. If you can get all the way to the top with straight arms, that's also fine. Whatever feels comfortable for you at the moment. And then we're going to hold for 30 seconds, okay? Right, off we go then. So big push up into our position and hold for 30. Make sure that we're breathing nice and slowly in this one, with it being a stretch. We want to focus on that breathing. Try and keep the head forwards if you can. Try and relax the muscles into this position. Really focus on that breathing. Just going as far as you can. You should just feel that gentle stretch on this one. Okay, and then relax from there. We're just going to take a few seconds in between each repetition. If you feel like you need a little bit longer, then feel free to pause the video and then join back in when you feel ready. But if not, then we're going to go again. So we're going to push up as much as we can and off we go for 30 seconds. So like we were saying, you should feel a gentle stretch on this one. It shouldn't be painful. If it feels painful, then it might mean that we're just going too far. So maybe just lower down slightly and just don't go as far for this one. That's great, 10 more seconds on this one. Keeping that head forwards if you can. Breathe in nice and slow. Okay, and then come back down to the floor. So same as last time, we're just going to take a few seconds to relax. If you feel like you need longer, then pause the video and just return when you feel ready. But if not, let's go into our last one. So we're going to push up just as far as you can and off we go. Focusing on that breathing, feeling that gentle stretch and trying to relax the muscles into that position. Also try not to hunch the shoulders up, try and push the shoulders down if you can. Breathe in nice and slow. Okay, and then slowly lowering ourselves down. And then taking your time, I want you to return to your standing position. That's great. Okay, that is the last exercise of today's class before we move into our cool down. So we're going to take 20 seconds, have a quick drink of water if you need one, and then we will come back for our quick cool down to round off today's session. Okay, let's get started with our cool down. So with the cool down, we're going to be focusing on bringing that heart rate back down, bringing our breathing rates back down, and sort of just relaxing the muscles after the class that you've done. So we're going to start off nice and easy with 30 seconds of deep breathing. So for the breathing, I'd really focus on breathing in through the nose and then breathing back out through the mouth. We're wanting those nice deep breaths. So when we are breathing in, try and think about sort of filling the rib cage, and then obviously releasing on the breath out. Okay, we're going to go for 30 seconds all together. Off we go. So like I said, breathing in through the nose and back out through the mouth. And make sure, like we said, we're really trying to fill that rib cage with air when we're breathing in, and then breathing out nice and slowly. You might find that at the moment, because you've just finished the exercises, that it's a bit difficult to slow that breathing rate down, but just go at your own pace. Okay, fab. What we're going to go on to next, again, nice and easy, we're going to go on to some walking on the spots. So in the warm-up before, we were obviously trying to increase our heart rate with the marching and the jogging. This time we're trying to bring it back down. So we're going to go nice and slowly and just walk on the spot. Okay, for 30 seconds, off we go. That's great. So still swinging those arms like we were before, but obviously just in a bit more of a relaxed position on this one and going a little bit slower. That's great. That's halfway there. Five more seconds. Great. Okay, this time we're going to move on to doing some hip circles. So we did these in our warm-up before, but again, a bit like the walking, we're going to bring the pace down on this one. So we're going to have the feet shoulder width apart, hands on the hips, and again, make the circles as small or as big as you can. And we're just going to go big circles with the hips, nice and slowly. We're going to do 30 seconds all together. Off we go. So bringing the pace down a little bit on this one, just moving through the full movement, nice and slowly. We can still concentrate on our breathing in these cool down exercises. So really trying to slow that breathing down. 10 more seconds. Great, okay. For the next movement, we're going to be going down to the floor. So take your time getting down. If you need to hold on to something, then do that. Nice and carefully onto the floor. And we're going to have the feet out in front, legs nice and straight. I want you to try and keep the knees as straight as possible with this one. And then we're going to rest the hands on the front of the thighs. From here, we're just going to slide down the legs just as far as you can. And we want to grip on to our legs as close as we can to our ankles, and we're going to hold that stretch for 30 seconds. Okay, so moving down just as far as you can, and then let's hold for 30 seconds. Off we go. Still focusing on that breathing when we're doing this movement, so breathing nice and slowly in and out, and we should feel that nice gentle stretch down the back of the legs. Okay, we're halfway there. 10 seconds left. And 5 seconds. Okay, and sit back up into that relaxed position. We're going to get ourselves back up into a standing position, but again, take your time. If you need to hold on to something to help you get up, then that's absolutely fine. Okie doke. Once we're up then, for the next movement, we're going to be doing some stretches, mobility work for the middle back. So we're going to have the feet shoulder width apart again. The hands this time are going to come up behind the head. And we're going to be doing 4 different movements. So we're going to be coming down into a forward position, back up and into a slightly extended position. Then we're also going to do some flexion to the side, back up into a middle position and over to the side. Okay, we might add in a little bit of rotation too, just to stretch a few extra muscles. We're going to go for 30 seconds. I want you to go at your own pace and we're just going to move through all those different movements, just making sure that we're stretching all the right muscles. Okay, off we go all together. So coming forwards, back up into that slightly extended position, and back down, over to the sides, and then rotating. That's great. And again, we're going to go slightly forwards and up and slightly back. Then we're going to lean to the sides. And again, we might go slightly over 30 seconds, but we want to get all those movements back in. And the final rotation. Okay, and then bring the arms back down into our neutral position. We're going to finish off by doing 30 seconds of our deep breathing again. So we're going to go in through the nose, out through the mouth, make sure we're trying to fill that rib cage there, and then release. Okay, off we go. So hopefully this breathing will be sort of easier now. Hopefully you'll be breathing that a little bit slower. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, really trying to fill that rib cage with air. And back down. Brilliant. Okay, well done everyone. So thank you for attending our exercise class today. We hope you've enjoyed it and we hope to see you very soon on our next session. Thank you.